Hey everyone, Morrigan here, and welcome to April's Ask Me Anything. We had a little some technical difficulties, so we're moving over, and hopefully you know where I am and you join us, and we end up having this amazing conversation. I have really enjoyed this time and space with you, so I am so excited for you to join us. I wanted to start with a conversation as I say hello to everybody coming in already. I've been having some really amazing conversations with my clients lately. One in particular that I wanted to share with you. And it's involving whenever we're wanting to create something new in our lives. And law of attraction people will call that when we want to manifest a new outcome. We want to manifest our dreams, our goals, our desires and such. I want to just kind of simplify it and talk about it on a level of when we're wanting to outcreate ourselves. In other words, we want to either have a positive outcome where we haven't had one up until that point, or when we're wanting to rewrite how our negative patterns are manifesting in our lives. Because regardless if it's positive or negative, we do seem to find these patterns in our life. And there's, on the positive end of the spectrum, we tend to believe that we don't always deserve what we're asking for, even though our conscious mind and our desire wants it really badly, but somewhere within us, we are sabotaging those things because there's something in us that doesn't believe it's possible. And when it's a negative outcome that we're trying to rewrite, we have had so many negative outcomes in that same energy that we're starting to believe that that's going to be the norm now. So what do? How do we rewrite our outcome and get away from the habitual end result that we're not wanting? I got into a conversation with a client about this. So if you take our ego, the ego is an important component to our human life. It provides us so much. But one of the things that it does provide is memory. One of my theories is that our memory of past experiences are housed or even maybe managed by the ego. Because when we're wanting to go forward in life, the ego comes back to us with, that's not going to work. You're not going to be able to do that. People aren't going to like that thing. And we all know that voice, right? That inner critic, that part of us that just is so afraid to take risk. It's so afraid to put ourselves into the world that it will literally talk us back down to what we know. What I think is happening is that the ego is going back into the archives and it's pulling out evidence of why it believes the thing that you want isn't going to come to fruition. It is going back there and it's stating its case. Exhibit A, Exhibit B, and this is all the reasons why I don't think this is going to happen. What then happens in us is we actually start agreeing with the ego. We say, oh, yeah, that's a lot of evidence, and you're probably right. I probably shouldn't take a chance right now. Maybe it's best if I just don't risk this. And so we'll shut it all down. But I wanted to spin this story a little differently for you to maybe give you a broader viewpoint of possibility. What if the ego has zero power in what you manifest? What if it's just one little tiny component of your totality and it simply needs your compliance of its projected outcome? And the moment you agree with the ego, your energy, the rocket fuel of where this ego is trying to launch its outcome, you are the rocket fuel for its desire of it's probably not going to work. The moment you agree, your energy starts weaving into the future to create the outcome that you just agreed that the ego was projecting. So the mind-blowing ability of that awareness is, what if you just didn't agree What if you were so freaking aware of the ego's attempt to put you back into a place that it can keep you safe, and you just didn't agree with it? Your energy would then start weaving a new outcome. You are the power of your life, not your ego. The ego has a lot of evidence based on past experiences why maybe that didn't work out, or why maybe this amazing thing that you want you don't deserve or can't handle or shouldn't do. It'll talk you out of all of those amazing adventures that we want in our lives because it can't calculate your survival. So it's going to talk you out of it. What if you practice the awareness around what that ego's voice sounds like, feels like, how it rests on you, how it feels like a struggle? What if you were so crystal clear about that moment and then you just didn't agree? You would have the possibility of your energy weaving a new outcome. You would be reclaiming your manifestation abilities to create the outcome you would actually desire without any input of what the ego is projecting will be the outcome. I haven't mastered any of that. It's one of those conversations that I let roll around in my head for a while because I really want to see the implications of where it is in my life. So I tend to ponder a lot, but I'm so like fired up at the possibility of what this could mean for humanity, of us taking back the reins of our experience instead of listening to our past experiences. What if we just rewrote our possibilities? And that's where I am with this. That's where I wanted to invite you into my head and share in this experience of what if? What if we just didn't listen? What if we, yeah, I get it. Thanks for your input, but I'm going to try it anyway. Because then your energy would weave a new possibility, a new outcome. So anyway, just wanted to offer that. Hey everybody, I am just going to start jumping in. You know what to do. This is Ask Me Anything. This is a space where you get to ask questions that maybe you feel a little weird about asking and you don't know who to ask. And if you know me at all, you know that I'm probably the safest person in the world to ask these questions to because I pretty much believe everything is possible and I don't have a lot of judgment around questions or theories or beliefs or whatever you subscribe to. So if there's something burning in your heart and burning in your soul and you want to ask some questions, then please bring them. As I say hello to everybody. Hello, Miss Rebecca, Shiloh, Cheryl, my lovely hubby. Laura's jumped on, Kristen, Ruby, hi love, Cynthia, Anna. So what is on your mind today? And it can be around what I've already shared, or it can be something completely different. Because I don't know about you, but some things have been stirring in this atmosphere, in this cosmos, in this world that. Have you been noticing that the veils are thinning? Have you been noticing that you're having more and more experiences? Have you been having the strangest of dreams, or you're starting to see beyond the veil and having more experiences that you wouldn't classify normal? Well, what if this gets to be our new normal? What if what we're experiencing at this point, it's going to settle in and it's going to be our new normal? So these are the opportunities to be able to ask those questions of what's happening in your world? What are you experiencing that might have you a little freaked out, or you don't know what to do with, you don't know how to handle, or you're not sure where it belongs in your life because there's so much newness and awareness and the abilities are starting to grow. So what are your questions? I'm going to keep asking you until you ask me your questions. You might as well jump in there. Hey, Kathy. Good to see you, honey. Good to see you guys. Miss Cheryl. Miss Cheryl's going to be going to Scotland soon. She's moving. I'm super jealous of this. So Cheryl is saying, my ego at the moment says, what if you lose your husband? Oh, it is so funny. I didn't see your question when I said what I said. What if you lose your husband because of your decision? That's tough. I think the secret is to follow what I know I have to do and let go of the outcome. To not go keeps, and I'm assuming you mean to not go to Scotland, keeps me in the same cycles I've been in for years. Yeah, I actually really agree with that. This is the portion of the conversation when we talk about relationships where we have to allow that person their choice. We have to allow them the space to choose what's right for them, because that's what we're asking for ourselves, right? We're asking for the space to do what's in our hearts of what will work for us. And where others might say that's incredibly selfish, I agree, but I don't think that it's wrong. I think that there is some sacredness in asking for the thing that we need. And if you are so crystal clear that going to Scotland is the thing that you need, this is where it gets a little dicey, right? We love these people in our lives. We don't want to lose them. We don't want them to choose something else over us if we want to be in that relationship. But we also get to honor them in their choice, because at the end of the day, they get to decide what is right for them. And that's difficult, because that means letting go of control. It means letting go of manipulating the outcome. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but like we manipulate the outcome with our desires and our wants, and sometimes even like we'll deny ourselves the thing that we want to keep the person, which is manipulating. So to allow the person the space to choose what they want, we have to have the trust in the relationship that it will overcome that moment. In other words, we have to give them the trust that they will choose to want to be with us. Because let's face it, if someone doesn't want to be with you, they won't. If they don't want to do the thing that you're doing, they will decide to do something else. Are we strong enough within ourselves, within our own conviction, to give them that space to choose that? So yeah, the ego will try and talk you out of it. And please understand the reason it does that, it's not evil. The ego is not trying to harm us by talking us out of these things. The ego is trying to protect us. A really great way to look at that is like if your ego was a financial advisor. Financial advisors are hired because they can project fiscal years. They can project outcomes of how the money is going to flow and how, where to invest and where to pull back and yada, 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 right? We hire them for that expertise. They do not know the future. They can only project based on the past, based on how things have been going. So to 100% trust your financial advisor would be not a great idea. You want to listen to them and take them on as an advisor, but not give away your power over to them, because when we do that, we are making that financial advisor 100% responsible for our fiscal success or failure, right? Don't listen to the ego to that nth degree. Take it on as a counsel, take it on as it has a suggestion, but understand that it's just trying to protect you, because it can't project the future. It can't predict it. It can only base it on past experiences. So it's not always the best thing to listen to it, but it's also not a bad thing to put it in its place, right? When we're talking about ego, it's about understanding that ego was just a part of our counsel. It's a part of the whole. It is, joined with the higher self. It's joined with the soul. It's joined with the connection with the logic, the brain, the right brain, left brain. If you're an empath, it joins the empathic heart. It's just one member of your council. But what happens with humans is all the other members of the council are saying, do it, do it, do it. But the ego's like, no, you don't know how that's going to turn out. you can't know that that's going to be a success. And because humans are wired to want comfort and safety and security, we shut down all the other members of the council and we will take in the ego's counsel only. So yeah, Cheryl, I think it is important for you to be as honest as you can with your husband. Of course, I'm sure you are, and tell him exactly where you're coming from, and then let him decide. And that's a really difficult place to be in because we love people, right? Yeah. Yeah. Anybody feeling that? Anybody like, where are you in decisions in your life? If you're feeling, can you take what Cheryl shared with us? Can you see how the ego works against us? It starts comparing risk with success. Like, is it worth the risk? And then it starts to sabotage. This is where we get our saboteur, our sabotage archetype, right? This is where it starts playing against us. When we have these dreams and aspirations and these desires to go forward in life and play and have it and eat it and experience it, there's always that one little voice telling us that it's too dangerous, that they're all going to laugh at you, that they're all going to reject you, that they're not going to get you, that they don't want what you're selling. Don't write that book because nobody will understand. Don't say those things because people will hate you. It's always going to try and project your outcome to survive. But the ego is not interested in you thriving. And the wisdom, the mastery of humanity, you're mastering your own human life is about knowing the difference. It's not interested in you thriving. And you get to say, thank you very much, but I'm doing this anyway. You're like, yeah, I got it, but I'm going to go do it anyway. So Cheryl adds, it does feel selfish, but I feel so strongly that it's the right choice. Right. So a funny thing about selfish, if you are on any level an empathic person, if you have empathy in your heart, and you don't even have to be an empath because everyone is capable of empathy. In other words, to be able to relate to someone, meaning we don't like when they're hurt, we don't like when they're angry, we don't like when they're disappointed. If you have any of that within you, once, twice, maybe 3 or 4 times in your life, you've been told that you are selfish because you want to do something that hurts someone else. So you have been vilified in that conversation, which means if you have empathy and you don't want to hurt someone else, it means when you take an opportunity, when you have the chance to hurt someone, it hurts you, so you talk yourself out of it. So we've gotten this really strange idea of what it means to put self first. It means, in our current expression, if I put self first, it means I'm putting everyone last. But a person with empathy, that won't calculate. That's not good math for us. We don't like that feeling of, haha, I'm number one and you guys suck. That's what the world says empathy, or sorry, being selfish is about. Well, we don't want to be assholes, so we don't do that. So we put ourselves last and put everyone else first to prove we are not selfish. Show of hearts. Show me your hearts if you understand that process. If you have put everyone else first so that you can be last, so that people don't call you selfish. And if you're not sure, just take a breath. Yep, I'm seeing your hearts. Just take a breath and ask yourself, is that what I'm doing? And we justify it, right? We have a lot of story around why it's better to put everyone else first. We love them. We want them to, be successful. And a lifetime of that starts to chisel away our own self-care. So what I challenge everyone to do is to consider that selfish can be sacred. Selfish doesn't have to be screw you, it's all about me, because that is the shadow side of selfish. That is the selfish that hurts. But what I'm saying is, what if it could be, I put myself first and I love you? What if it's simply saying, thank you, but no, where I get to just say no? That might disappoint somebody, but the no is more important than the yes, because in that moment, I'm understanding that I can't do the thing that they're asking for. And I feel like one of the reasons that the not so nice people use that word against us is because they're trying to get something out of us. So if you are sacred in your no, they're going to call you selfish, because they're trying to break down your navigation, your wisdom, your connection to your own self to get something out of you. So part of your job is to know the difference. If someone asks you, hey, can you do this for me? And you say, you know, I really don't think I can. And they go, you know what? Yeah, no worries. It's all good. Yeah, I got it. I'll do it myself. It's all good. If they do that, they love you. If they get it and they understand that you need that space, they love you. If they do not, they're going to make you feel wrong for saying no. And then Miss Cheryl, I love that you're on here, sweetheart. Thank you so much for chatting. Cheryl says, do you think it's harder for women, the caretakers? I am only now looking at what I want. It's taken 58 years. I think that, and just because I know you, I'll go a little bit deeper with that. I think that it is women. Women are wired to be caretakers. We are historically the homemakers and the nurturers. So we already are predisposed to put everyone else ahead of us. There's that. If you are a mother, I feel like there's a little bit more than that, because you have raised little humans. So there's already that layer. So you can be a woman and have that and not have children, but still be wired to nurture. But I think women that have children are wired a little bit harder to be that, because we have had little humans depend on us. And, 12, 13, 14 years of raising humans, we have forgotten our own needs because it is always about them in those early years, right? One more level of that, if you are an empath, you are going to be wired like that. You feel other people's disappointment. You feel their struggle, their pain, their worry, their stress. And that kickstarts our desire to want to fix it for them. So whether you're a woman with children, or an empath, male or female. But I know you, Cheryl, and you have all three. So it might be part of why it's taken you a little bit longer to get this moment to be able to put yourself in the sacred, selfish position and want these things for yourself. So you have to kind of see where you are and then pull the layers apart and see how they're wired. So if you are an empathic mother, you're going to have like 3 things to work on, because it's, yeah, you're going to have some work to do, right? Yeah. And hey, Miss Ruby, funny how the people who tell us we are selfish for wanting to put ourselves first don't see themselves as selfish when they are putting themselves first. Yeah, it's called projection. In shadow work, you can always tell when someone isn't willing to see their own shit, because they are readily able to project the same shit onto people. That's how it works. That's how you know these are not the people for you, is when they are more adamant about pointing out your flaws, and I do air quotes around that because that's, that's relative. They're so quick to point out your flaws, but they're not willing to look at where they may have the same flaws. That's stage 2 of the shadow process. Stage 1 is denial. Stage 2 is projection. They know somewhere inside of them that they look like that and they don't want anyone to notice, so they're too busy blaming other people for it. It's like if they can point and get the attention off of them, then nobody will notice that they are selfish. And then of course stage 3 is acceptance, and then stage 4 is transformation. So it's a journey around that, right? But yeah, that's my favorite thing about people, where they're so quick to want to point out where you're ugly, but they're not willing to turn it around and look at their own ugliness, right? So you want to watch out for people like that, especially if you are empathic, because you will feel that and you will feel wounded. And part of the wise empath, the healed empath, is being able to catch that and go, oh, well, that's just totally their projection, and not letting it affect you, right? I know lately I've been talking a lot about empaths, but it feels like in my world, this is where my personal world is going. And I've been collecting more and more empaths in my realm, and it's been an amazing experience. So I'm super fired up to help empaths not we just keep getting beaten down by all of these energies. So even if this doesn't relate to you and you don't feel empathic, you can still master that projection thing by understanding that that's their projection, right? Yeah. Hello, Logan. Oh, it's good to see you, honey. And then Cheryl says, yeah, I'm going. You should go. I am seriously like super excited for you. I know you've been talking about this for years. So please, please, please step into that. And then Logan says, yeah, narcissists always have double standards and don't you dare ever call them out on it. Oh my God, my very favorite conversation. Yeah, narcissists are funny that way. As the empath, that's a hard relationship to navigate because their whole agenda is to take the empath out of their wisdom. That is, and it's slow, and it kind of like boils slowly, so the empath doesn't realize that it's dying. But their agenda is to chisel down your awareness, your wisdom, your connection, your knowing, your trust, your faith, your belief. Because if they can do that, then they make you dependent upon them. And I know so many people that have the narcissist relationship, or they have had that in their past. It is a delicate one to heal out of. It is one of those relationships that will probably be with you for the rest of your life. However, there is a way to turn the corner and actually walk away with the nutrition of the relationship, not keep the wounding. One of the big steps for empaths is to recognize those people, to reclaim what was chiseled down, to reclaim the wisdom and the knowing and the tenderness and the beauty and the strength of an empath, and then use it in the future as a skill building exercise. Like, how can you catch those people faster? You're going to come into contact with them all the time. We tend to be magnets. So part of my agenda is to build an empath army where we're like, oh no, I recognize you. You meet a new boss, you meet a new coworker, you meet a new person. Like, it doesn't, yep, I know you. You feel very familiar to me. And it keeps a little bit of a distance from that relationship. You don't get tied, kind of sucked into it and tied with them. So I don't fully understand the phenomenon of the empath narcissist connection. It just seems like we attract each other. They're broken but don't believe it, and we want to fix them but don't know how. It's this weird relationship. But it needs to be talked about. It needs to be talked about. Yeah, and Robin says, I've been there. It was hell. Yeah, there are days. I've been out of that marriage for 17 years, and I still get triggered in various ways from that relationship. And so I feel like the wisdom, excuse me, the wisdom is in knowing what the trigger is, And then, of course, not punishing the person that is triggering you if they don't know that they are. There's always that. Being able to reclaim the power of that moment and recognizing that you are being triggered. And then I'm not going to lie, it takes a little time, but you've got to know the ego. You've got to know the PTSD trigger access points of that, of the third eye chakra and the ear chakras that house those memories. And then have the clear self-awareness that you are reacting to something that isn't really happening, right? That's the wisdom right there, is, wow, I'm having a very strong reaction to something that I shouldn't be having a reaction to. And then having your wounds care set up where you know that it's a wound and you know how to go into it and you know how to address it and honor it and nurture it back to health. This has taken me years to get down, so I'm not even going to fluff it up for you and say that, oh yeah, you just do this, that, and boom, bing, bang, boom, you're done. No, it takes some time, but it's possible. Where in the past it hasn't felt very possible for me. I kept getting swallowed up by it, and I couldn't quite get out of the trigger. It's possible now. I think my throat's reacting to the narcissist conversation. There is a possibility of getting past it and understanding what is happening and not getting sucked in by it when you're triggered. So just want to let you know that there are tools out there. It's skill building, it's practices, it's healing. So yeah, there's some possibilities. Cheryl asks, is there a tool that empaths can use to give themselves protection from the energy of others? I think I talked about this on last month's Ask Me Anything, but I actually don't like the word protection, okay? Here's the reason why. And I'm just going to repeat it quickly so that you kind of get the frequency of it. If I'm running around thinking I need protection, I'm in fear. I'm already afraid of what you might do to me. If I'm in the fear frequency, I'm going to have experiences that are going to harm me. It's like attracts like. That's what law of attraction says. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you be. So if I be fear, I'm going to have things that will make me afraid. So that's just like the foundational vibrational frequency conversation. But there are things we can do, and it will always involve your awareness. Your awareness. Knowing your state as you walk into a conversation, knowing your state as you walk into a party, a meeting, a coffee with girlfriends, like it doesn't matter, right? Walking into a store, walking into the mall, whatever. Know your state. And then as you're walking into that experience, are you being present? Because part of that, number one, empaths will just absorb. We can't help it. You are going to absorb your surroundings. Part of the skill building is, though, knowing that you don't want to keep it and letting it pass through you. Can you be like a colander, like a strainer? Can you let something just run through you, but keep what you want? And that's skill. But it starts with awareness. You have to first be aware that you're walking into an environment that doesn't feel so great, then know how to filter it through, and then give yourself permission to leave if it's not working for you. What empaths tend to do is we don't want to appear rude, so we'll stay and we'll suck it in. And in order to do that, we have to shut down, which means we turn off our awareness and we just take it, right? And then when we get home, we deal with the aftershock. We deal with the hangover that we're going to have because we took it all in and we weren't aware we were taking it in. So to strengthen your abilities is to have awareness, to input strategies. How do you put in different systems of handling energies? Like for my hairdresser friends, I tell them, well, every time you pump the chair when you have a client, pretend like you're flushing a toilet. and it just let their energy, you don't have to take their energy. It's not your responsibility to take their energy to heal them. That's not what they're hiring you for. Even if they're hiring you to be a healer, still not your job to take their energy, right? That's where empaths have got to get. It's not our job. We think it's our job. We feel responsible. Someone somewhere in our past told us that we were responsible for everyone's happiness, and we believed them. And so we keep doing it subconsciously. So you see what I'm saying around that, right? It's not about protection. It's about owning it. And it's about having the skills in place to know how to maneuver through it. And then being able to give yourself permission when you're done. When you're in a situation that doesn't work for you, can you just say, I'm out. Thanks. You've been great. I got to go. No, because we tend to feel guilty and selfish, and we're afraid they're going to think we look like assholes, so we stay and put up with it. I hope that helps. Logan says, you have to repair your sense of self. I believe empaths confuse other people's feelings and energies with their own because their ego is damaged and needs to be restored in a balanced way. I agree. And by speaking your truth and standing by your boundaries over time, your inner resolve and fortitude, fortitude will strengthen more and more. I agree. And that's sort of what I was saying, right? When you are putting self first, you will make decisions that work for you and where you can release the other person to have their experience in whatever you decide. Are you willing to let people be angry at you if you choose to self-care? I am. I invite people. You want to be upset? Be upset. I will support you. But that doesn't mean I have to stay and put up with it, right? So there's a lot of self-care in there. Logan says it's not enough to just believe in your worth. You have to know it, and knowledge only comes with experience. I so agree with that. Practice makes perfect. That's why that is such a strong statement in our world. And where I would reflect on that, we can say we're awesome and amazing and worth it, and we have power and worth and value. But if you don't actually have it within you, like, it's one thing to outwardly want to project that, because we do that, right? We want people to perceive us as valuable people, so we will project that. But it's the same conversation. Are we projecting it so that that's what they see, or is it coming from the core? Are we just being it? Or are we wanting people to think we're that? There's a huge difference. And empaths are very good at the mask. This is one of the shadow aspects of empaths. We're very good at projecting what we want the world to see us as. We are amazing at that game. But it's really to hide what's behind the mask we don't want anybody to see. So what Logan was saying is you have to be willing to believe in your worth. And then when you believe it, your worth just illuminates. There's no mask, there's no projection, there's no energy around it. It just is. And so if you're asking that question and you're getting, no, I don't feel like I have that value, that's where you start. You start with that healing and that conversation. Where did you lose that value? Who told you you don't have value? And when did you believe them? That's the source of the wound. Yes, I'm loving this conversation. I had no idea we were going to go empath narcissist today, but it totally makes sense in my world right now. Anybody else have anything you wanted to add to that? It's a really powerful conversation. I swear to you guys, it is why I created the Empowered Empath, to be just brutally honest. I already do intuition classes, Intuition by Design, where we address a little bit of the empath because there's a psychic, intuitive sense to being an empath. But I had to take the empath out of that conversation and give them their whole event, because we are some multi-layered, faceted, leveled creatures. it is not that simple dealing with an empath. I tell my husband all the time, I don't know how you deal with it. I don't know how you manage. I don't know how you keep up with it. So we are really fractured, but in a faceted way. Like we have so many different levels and fractures to us that it's important to address them all. And where everyone is different, sure, we all have our own experiences, we have our own soul's path, we have our own baggage and wounds and all that. There are some collective similarities in empaths. And these conversations are deep and wide and vast, and they are needed. So I love that you guys brought these topics today. And then hi, Miss Vicky. I love you too. And yeah, Logan, I love it. It's great. I'm glad you guys brought it. I'm feeling complete. Unless there is anything else, I'm feeling like we're complete today. Ponder these conversations and see where you are in them, right? That is ultimately always my desire in these conversations, is to kind of open everything up and just invite you to see where you are and where you're not. Like, it's okay if you don't resonate with every single thing that I say, but it's meant to provide you at least the question. Where am I in this? Is this something for me? What nutrition can I take away from this conversation? And that's because of you guys. You bring it. I love that you bring your questions and your comments and the topics and all of that good stuff. Thank you so much for that. And I'm going to be doing another one next month, of course. I'm loving it. Be watching for that prompt and share and all of that good stuff. If you have an empath, sensitive soul, or delicate, beautiful energy in your life that you feel like might resonate with this conversation, please feel free to share it with them. That's ultimately what it's for. Is I want people to feel like they're not alone in this journey, because we feel alone a lot of the times. We already feel weird. Nobody will get us. Nobody will understand us. And this is across the board. This is empaths and non-empaths alike. We're all going through something. We're all ultimately searching for who we are, who we came to be, not who we said we would be for everyone's comfort, but the whole entire reason our soul said, yes, I will go. We're trying to remember that. And it gets messy down here, right? This is a messy place. It's meant to be, but it can be so messy sometimes we forget and we lose our way. So that's what these conversations are for. That's the space that I am. And I hope you walked away with a little bit that you feel nourished and nurtured in your heart. And I appreciate you joining me. So I'm going to let you all go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And yeah, I'll read the rest of your comments later. I just really appreciate you guys, and I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday. And I'll see you next month. All right, bye. I said bye. Clicking the buttons.